Hey everyone, Fatty from Pack-a-Punch Traders here. Gonna do a quick video going over the top plays for tomorrow, March 13th. So we'll just get right into that. Actually, one thing beforehand, I want to go over this loss, NVOS. This is the reason why I've kind of been quiet the past few days, or most of last week. Um, Tuesday took a bad loss on NVOS, so I decided to just take a few days away from the market and then ended up becoming a weekend. So almost a week ignoring the market. So here we are with NVOS. Let's just try to take away some lessons. We got a solid gapper. Had a nice first green day and then took off after hours. And then the next day, I was just looking for the failure to break down because if it kept holding up around here, I was thinking we could test the next resistance area, which was in the 30s. Where are we here? So I was looking for the high 20s at least, but ultimately I wanted to get to the low 30s here. And it had some strong volume. It was holding up. In my eyes, I just saw the failure to break down. So I attacked and I went with a bit bigger size, which was really the start of the problems here. So as it held up here at 23.3, I took in 10,000 shares here. Keep in mind the open price was 21 down here, and VWAP is about 22 and a half. So I am, in my eyes, chasing a bit. Not the best entry up here, 23.3, and then we got a quick panic here after it dipped a little bit. Did not see this come through, but it held up and it started bouncing back. I didn't sell into here. I was waiting to sell into some strength. I didn't want to sell into the weakness. Thought I could save myself some pennies and maybe cover it as it's bouncing. But the emotional being that I am, I saw this thing bouncing back. I'm like, oh, it double bottomed here, held open price. Now we're getting back to VWAP. This could lead to a short squeeze. And what I ended up doing was sizing up, doubling my size. So now I'm at 20,000 shares. Got 10,000 more at 22 and a half as it was breaking across the VWAP. So I have 20,000 shares at 22.9. So a mess already. I shouldn't have been adding to it. I should have just been dumping my shares, taking a small loss on this, and calling it a day. But I didn't. And then it held up for a moment. Then we started fading. And then as it broke down past VWAP here, I decided I'm going to start selling this. This is not smart. We're making a lower high. I shouldn't have added. And as I pull my phone out to go sell, um, phone starts glitching. Wi-Fi goes down for a moment, and it was just a mess for a solid 5 minutes. And then by the time I got everything going back, just in time to see it plummet again. So just a horrible morning on Tuesday. And then I ended up just into the bounce here at 19.36. I locked in my loss. It was not nice at all. $708 loss. So not too damaging. I just needed a break. On the month, I'm down $66. So gave up most of my gains from the first week, last week, and of the month. So I just needed a few days off before I made it worse, wanting to attack other plays to make up the money. That's usually how me giving up a good portion of my account happens. So it was something I acknowledged even going into the week that I was being a bit too cautious. The market is kind of shifting, and I just got emotional. It was really what it was. NVOS, I thought it could head higher. Was being too biased. Was just focusing on the price action. Completely ignored the volume and what it was doing. We had a few minutes of solid demand, but ultimately lower highs, low volume, and more selling coming through. So Just another good lesson on managing your size, not getting carried away, and keeping your risk tight, as well as combining price action and volume. I know we always talk about it. I just let it slip this time, and I paid the price. So got that out of my system and ready for the new week. So let's get into the top plays for tomorrow. We got here TRKA. This thing has been moving recently. Did offer a bounce here, but ended up finishing red. So I'll see how it reacts here as it pushes to new lows. In my eyes, I'm just seeing it as an area where shorts were able to get back into this and maybe size up, but they likely got out. This was a solid bounce here, but it gave it all back. So that is usually how we see the bounce play, where once the fuel is gone to it, it will just fail. But considering how much this has moved, let's give you the daily chart here. In my eyes, this just has some range. I'm not a huge fan of playing the second bounce, but here we are pushing lower with fading volume. I am seeing some bottoming action. We're back to where it started, and it has some room to work with. So if this holds up and shows the same signs that we usually look for on the multi-day bounce, this one had a good example on this day. Let's zoom into that, where it just starts having a hard time pushing lower. Starts, instead of using VWAP and open price and previous close as resistance, we're going to start using it as support and pushing to new highs. You'll see some more demand come through relative to the fade, and once you get that confirmation of the high, that's when shorts, to them, they're seeing confirmation of the momentum shift, and that will lead to shorts locking in their profits, dip buyers coming back, and you get this nice bounce. So it already happened, but considering, like I said, the way it's acting, the weaker volume, pushing to new lows, it's back to where it started, and it has some room to work with. It has some range. If it does set up and there is some demand behind it, could set up for a nice second bounce. So TRKA looking for a bounce play. Then we got BLPH. This one here, recent runner, and still failing to break down. Volume is fading, but it is still holding near the highs pretty well. So if demand does come back, it is a low float play. Recent runner, shorts are probably expecting this thing to absolutely get demolished and come back to the fours and threes. But if their expectations are broken, they'll start getting squeezed. So we'll see how it reacts in the mid sevens, where the breakout is 748, right around the key psychological level of 7.5. Next resistance area is really not until mid eights, low nines. So this one does have a little bit of range. It is a low float. We'll just wait and see how demand picks up and if it can confirm the breakout level. If not, we'll just wait for the fade, let the backside really kick in, and then we'll get a multi-day bounce. Lastly, TENX. Here, super low float, low market cap, huge fade. Shorts are expecting this to just get shit on, but here we are after hours, pushing higher after a nice first green day. Bounce play here. Has some resistance around 80, 81. So that will be the area that I'll be focused on, seeing how it reacts to the 80s. Assuming that it gets up there pre-market and open price is around that area, we'll see how it sets up, confirms that level. And from there, we'll look for the test of at least 90. We got that pre-market resistance. There is a bit of volume behind it. Not a whole ton, so I could imagine it blowing right through this and then getting to 105, where there's going to be some resistance here, even 110 area. So on the low ones, there's going to be a bunch of resistance. So if it can make the 80s area a support level. Demand is strong the way it was on Friday. It keeps coming in. We can see shorts getting squeezed and looking to test the low ones. So those are the top plays for tomorrow. There are other couple decent setups as well, but these are what I'll be focusing on in the morning. Besides what might be gapping up, we'll play the open price VWAP reclaim. Look for shorts to fail to take it lower. Expectations get broken. Buyers come back, starts reclaiming key levels, uptrending, and that can set up for a solid